Dearly beloved, we have gathered here today to get through this thing called Mix CD. My name is Mike, part of the SPDM crew, and I love making Mix CDs. Each week, we give our guests a theme and an 80-minute time limit for which songs they're going to pick for their Mix CD. This week, I'm going to be talking about anxiety and specifically what it feels like for me to deal with anxiety. I've dealt with anxiety for, I feel like, as long as I can remember, and the thing that sucks about having anxiety is that for the most part, it just doesn't go away. You just have to find ways to manage it better and learn to, kind of deal with it in a way that isn't debilitating, which I have for the most part. I finally got to the point where it's just like, I can't just use coping mechanisms anymore. I have to use medication, but it's been helpful, so I will give it that. And this is going to be actually a two-parter where I kind of just threw a bunch of songs on this list that kind of gave me a sense of what it's like just to, live with anxiety. So I'll probably go through the first half one day and then the second half another. So let's see, how many do we have on this list? One, two. All right, so I'll do 21 this time, and then I will do 20 the next week. So these aren't in any particular order because I think I would stress out too much to try to put it in a specific order, but I felt that it was necessary to start this with Anxiety, the new song that rips off Gautier's Somebody That I Used to Know. Yeah, that's the song. So Dochi, I think, is how you pronounce it, or Dochai, but yeah, so I felt like that's a good one to put on there. And this is just kind of a stream of consciousness of different things that I thought of that I felt, kind of identified, maybe sometimes a bit on the nose. Sometimes I need to explain a little bit more why some of these kind of came to mind. But the next song I have is Broken by Seether and Amy Lee. There's a lot of times where I've had anxiety, whether it's an anxiety attack or I just cannot stop thinking about something that I feel like I am broken. And I've been told a lot of times, like, hey, just don't worry about it. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, I'll try that next time. Thanks. So then the next one is, I think God Can Explain by Splendor, mainly because, the refrain for this is like, it's all right, I'm okay. I think God can explain. And I'm not looking for an explanation from God or anything like that. It sometimes just makes me feel a little bit better to kind of think about that. The next song on this list, So Far Away by Stained, because there's sometimes that I'm going through a spell of anxiety and I just feel like I am so far away from getting better that it's hard. It's just hard for me to like not internalize things and just kind of get over that hump. So the next song I have on the list is In My Head by Jason Derulo because it's all just in my head. I'm just catastrophizing everything. It's just going through just everything in my head. I am just struggling so much. Next song, Leave the Pieces by the Wreckers. I feel like the line in the song that kind of reminds me a little bit of anxiety is leave, it's all right. It's all right. I'll be okay. I'm gonna make it anyways. Leave the pieces when you're gone. That's sometimes how I feel sometimes after getting out of an anxiety spell is like, yeah, all right. Goodbye. I'll see you later. Leave the pieces when you're gone. Thanks, you dick bag. Hide and Seek by Transit. This is just a acapella version of this song, but just hide and seek. It's a good way just to kind of talk about anxiety, once I find it in my head, after it's just buried, hidden away. Yeah, it's just hard. An oddly hopeful song in this case, I Won't Give Up by Jason Mraz. That's pretty self-explanatory. I'm not going to give up. I'm trying to deal with my anxiety, but, it doesn't change the fact that it's hard. then like it's funny because a lot of these are just like masked love songs, and I could just replace love with anxiety, and it somehow kind of works. So like this next song is "Can't Get You Out of My Mind" by Lenny Kravitz. It's on his greatest hits album. I enjoyed the song quite a bit, but there's a part of this where it's like, but when it comes down to anxiety, in this case, if we swap out love for anxiety, I just can't get you out of my mind. And I hate that, but hey, it is what it is. Away from the Sun by Three Doors Down and Into the Dark by the Juliana Theory. Both of those are pretty self explanatory. It's just when this dark cloud of anxiety just continues to, just envelop you, it just sucks. 11. Okay. Somewhere in between by Lifehouse. It's just living with anxiety. It just feels like you're just in a perpetual state of living in between your anxiety spells. Particularly at first when you're not exactly sure what's going on and you think that you're just worrying too much. Time after time, I picked the acapella version by Boyz II Men because I just like it better. Just time after time, living with anxiety. Under Pressure by Queen and David Bowie, and My Own Worst Enemy by Lit. Both of those are pretty self explanatory. Walking Contradiction, that's, living with anxiety. It's just one of those things where you are telling yourself to stop and you just cannot stop. And it's hard. I keep saying that a lot. It's hard, but it's the best way to describe it, unfortunately. Okay, so the last five on this part is "Got to Get Through This" by Daniel Bedingfield. Yeah, because that's kind of the best way to describe once you like start to recognize that you're starting to have an anxiety spell and you're just like, God, I just gotta get through this. And then like another thing is like "Say It Ain't So." So which is why I have "Say It Ain't So" by Weezer on here. Then I have "Gravity" by John Mayer. You swap gravity for anxiety. It's like anxiety, stay the hell away from me, or anxiety is working against me. Yeah, that fits. I chose "Breakdown" by Mariah Carey and "Crazy Bone" and "Wishbone" because yeah, that feels pretty spot on. And then "Close Your Eyes" by Young Love. It's one of those things where I sometimes feel like that helps me a lot just to kind of close my eyes and just kind of concentrate hard. So that is the first part to this anxiety playlist. The first part of this is probably just like a scribble of just like a mishmash of different things that just go on my head when I have anxiety. But yeah, this is the first part of this. I'll have the second part of this next week. Well, my friends, the time has come to end this episode of Mix CD. Be sure to like, rate, and subscribe to anything and everything SPDM Crew wherever you get your podcast. Join us on social media on Facebook, Instagram, X, Threads, YouTube, and Blue Sky at SPDM Crew. Check out our website soon to be out at spdmcrew.com. You can follow our playlist on Spotify and Apple Music at Mike Hilty. Shout out to HiFlyer Creative Studios for making our awesome logo. Greatly appreciate their support. And if you have any marketing, logo, or brand standard needs, contact them at HiFlyerCreative.com. If you've got a podcast idea or you're interested in being part of the SPDM crew as a guest or collaborating, email us at spdmcrew@gmail.com. Until next time, no matter what happens now, you shouldn't be afraid because I know today has been the most perfect day I've ever seen.